my country people. Serious debate in INEC chairman office, guys. Make sure you take around to the end and get every single detail. Like Tinubu don finally expose. Abeg, if you know say you never subscribe, abeg subscribe. Subscription na free so that you go fit dey receive any update from this channel. Alright, let's dive in.
Andrews, the EU ambassador to Nigeria, Mr. Gautier Migno, the team lead, and other experts on the follow-up mission, other officials of the European Union delegation to Nigeria, national commissioners of INEC, other senior officials of the Commission, the chairman and members of the INEC press corps. Mr. Andrews will be glad to hear that as a Commission we have one of the most vibrant INEC press corps, one of the most vibrant press corps in the country. We have over 100 media organizations represented on the INEC press corps, and they have been wonderful people covering our activities, whether they're electoral or election activities. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to welcome the European Union Election Observation Follow-up Mission to Nigeria. In the tradition of the European Union, the head of the Election Observation Mission also leads the follow-up mission ahead of the next general election, basically to monitor the implementation of the EU recommendations halfway between the last and the forthcoming general election. This is the third time that the present Commission is receiving such a mission. I recall that in 2017, we received Mr. Santiago Fisas, who led the EU Election Observation Mission to Nigeria's 2015 general election. Similarly, in 2022, we hosted Maria Arena, who led the EU Election Observation Mission to Nigeria in 2019. Today, we are glad to receive Mr. Barry Andrews, who led the EU mission to the 2023 general election. In 2019, the EU Election Observation Mission made 30 recommendations, out of which 11 were specifically addressed to INEC. 3 of them were classified as priority recommendations, while 8 were considered as general recommendations. By comparison, your 2023 report made 23 recommendations, out of which 8, that is 34.8%, require action by INEC, of which only 1 recommendation is listed as priority. The remaining 15 recommendations, that is 65.2%, out of which 5 were categorized as priority, require action by the executive, legislature, and the judiciary, political parties, and multiple stakeholders such as civil society organizations, the media, and professional bodies. The Commission has carefully considered all the 8 recommendations specifically addressed to us in your report. Action has been taken on aspects of the recommendations that only require administrative action to implement. Similarly, action is being taken on cross-cutting recommendations that require collective action between INEC and other bodies and stakeholders, while waiting for the conclusion of the ongoing legal review by the National Assembly on the recommendations that require legislative intervention. To this end, the Commission has prepared a detailed response to each of the 8 direct observations, which we shared with you at this meeting. If time permits later, when we go into the working session, we can go over each of the recommendations as suggested by Mr. Andrews. I must add that your recommendations, along with similar reports from other national and international election observers, were the subject of wide-ranging consultations with critical institutions and stakeholders during our own review of the 2023 general election. The review report contains 142 recommendations for electoral reform. In addition, the Commission has published our main 2023 general election report over a year ago. The main report for the election, as well as our review reports, are already available from our website. As you are aware, election is a process governed by law. Many of your recommendations require the review of our electoral laws or the Constitution of Nigeria. For this reason, the Commission has interfaced with our National Assembly, including a retreat with the Joint Committee on Electoral Matters, the Senate and the House committees, way back in April in Lagos. On this note, I would like to appeal to the National Assembly for an expeditious consideration of the electoral reform proposal. An early passage of the law is critical to our planning for elections. Uncertainty over the legal framework for the election can unsettle the work of the Commission as election draws nearer. For instance, the Commission cannot conclude work on the regulations and guidelines for elections unless and until the law is passed. Similarly, we cannot proceed with a manual to govern the training of election duty officials unless there is clarity and certainty on the electoral legal framework. I'm confident that the National Assembly is working on that. So we look forward to the next EU election observation mission for the 2027 general election. As you are aware, and as you said, Mr. Andrews, international election observation missions are deployed on the invitation of INEC. I want to reassure you that we'll continue to engage with you. Very soon, the Commission will send out invitations to the European Union, as well as the Commonwealth, the African Union, and ECOWAS for the 2027 general election. We believe that the recommendations arising from your observation of our election and electoral process help to improve the quality of our elections and electoral activities. Let me once again welcome you to the Commission and welcome you to Nigeria. And let me also appreciate the support of the European Union through the EU support to democratic governance in Nigeria. I want to assure the EU ambassador that we will continue to deepen this partnership. So I thank you very much for coming on this follow-up mission, and we'll discuss more when we go into the working session.
How is she?
Oh, she's very well.
I think I own a brown restaurant in Oslo.
She's killing us.
Yes. Thank you. Do I know you now?
Commission. His Excellency, the EU Ambassador to Nigeria. Good morning.
Good morning to everybody. Honorable Professor, Honorable Commissioners, Ambassador, colleagues from the European Union and friends, and ladies and gentlemen of the media. It's a huge honor to be back in Nigeria. I was appointed the Chief Observer for the European Election Observation Mission by the High Representative Vice President Borrell in 2023, following an invitation from INEC to the European Union to establish an election observation mission for the 2023 general election. And in terms of scale, of not just financial but personnel, it was one of the largest ever European Union election observation missions, which I think reflects the importance of the relationship between the European Union and Nigeria, but also the importance of Nigeria, not just in the region, but internationally. And we were very much delighted to take up the invitation for the 2023 general election, having done so at every general election since 1999. So we're really delighted to have taken up that invitation. So now we are following up, which is the traditional pattern for election observation. And we are here for the last, I'm only here since this morning, but my team have been deployed here for the last 3 weeks and will remain for a further week as part of this electoral observation mission. So what we are here to do is to look at the recommendations that flowed from the overall mission that were contained in the final report of the mission back in 2023. And we are Very happy to see that there has been very significant progress against these recommendations. We recognize that there are certain time constraints, both in terms of judicial reform as well as administrative reform, and of course constitutional reform, which is somewhat more difficult. But we are making all of these recommendations against international standards that the EU, that Nigeria, that most countries have signed up to. And so we are part of an overall international election observation ecosystem that has really served to buttress democracy, to support democracy, not just here in Nigeria, not just in Africa, but across the world and in Europe as well. And I'm happy to say, as an Irishman, we've had Nigerian election observation teams in Ireland for our presidential election, and we welcome them, we warmly welcome them and their constructive observations. And we are here in that same spirit, Professor, as part of our follow-up mission. So INEC has obviously carried out its own review of the 2023 elections, and we'll be looking forward to hearing what you have to report on the recommendations and the follow-up and implementation of those recommendations since 2023. There are specific areas that require legislative action that I've referred to in my opening comments, and we'd be delighted as a team to hear from you about what progress has been made and what concerns you have about obstacles in the future, and particularly around constitutional change, which is obviously a little bit more difficult. There have been off-cycle governorship elections in the meantime since 2023, so we'd be keen to hear what changes were applied for those elections. And again, just to hear from you about what steps have been taken and can be taken to improve transparency around the publication of results, which is a part of our recommendations. So with that, once again, on behalf of our small team, we're really grateful for the invitation and the cooperation with INEC, which has been outstanding over the last few weeks. I want to thank our own EU delegation for facilitating our visit as well, and to thank the Commission for hosting us this morning for this exchange. Thank you, Professor.